Suetonius. We're at 14. Perhac. Through these things, he was terrible and in visus, which is passive. He was hated by all. And tandem, at last, he was oppressed. He was overcome or killed. By conspiracy of his intimate friends and freedmen. Simul, at the same time, also of his wife. This conspiracy, she was involved in it. Annum and diem, year and day in accusative, the ultimate, so the last day and year of his life, of his vitae. Jam predem. Now for some time, he was having some suspicion of his last day, and the hour even. So we've got year, day, and hour. Neknon, and in fact, the genus of his death, the type of death. Adolacentulo, dative or ablative singular. The Chaldeans, they're like soothsayers, look at the stars, I believe. They predict on it. They said in advance, cuncta, everything, near to plural, to him when he was an adolescent. His pater quoque, his father also, over dinner, once upon a time, quondam, laughed at him parlem, adverb openly, because he was being abstinent in the present participle of funguses. He was sparing from mushrooms, or not eating them, saying or thinking that it was because he was ignorant of his lot in life or of his destiny, and that he was rather not, or more preferably, he should have, was not a sword that he was fearing. Okay. Quare, therefore, he was pavidus semper always. Always he was fearful and anxious, and even, etiam, with in a minimum suspicion, he was beyond modicum of even the tiny bit of suspicion would commove about him. He would be moved by even a small amounts, even beyond what was the normal measure. Where are we at? Ut. So the edicts, proposition, and we have proposition here, which is the purpose, and there's a gerundive for cutting down the vines, de extending vineas. He made this gratium. It's got like about 400 different meanings. Here it's influenced him not to, there's the not, so he won't cut down these vines he proposed earlier to do, and nothing compelled him more, it's believed, than these sparsi, or they've been sprinkled out or spread out through amongst the people, these libelli, little booklets with these verses in it. And I'll read from the lobe. Nor at my root, if you will, even then shall I have juice in plenty, to pour upon thee, O goat, when at the altar you stand. So it's something about killing a goat. Eadem formidon, with the same dread oblatum, this new honour from the Senate, which was thought up by them. They wanted him to be a senator again. What is it? Or the we'll keep reading anyway. Although he was had a great appetite for all of these such things, he refused. So yeah, I think they wanted him maybe to be. What have we got? I'll have to check this. When he had a consulship. Okay, fair enough. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Roman equites, Roman knights, will be chosen by lot, wearing a trabeas, like a clothing, and with spears, hastus. They would precede him in military service amongst their lictors and their administrators. Okay, so that's the whole sentence there. So it looks like he had another honour of, like I said, of consulship. Even though he was very appetizing towards that sort of thing, he refused. And this degree, yeah, here it is, whenever he would gerrit the consulatum. So whenever he would conduct himself as the consul, he would choose these Roman knights by lot, and with their spears and the type of cloak that they have, they would precede him with these lictors and apparitors. Fair enough. Vero. But, or truly, in that time, tempore, of his danger suspected, uh, pro-Quentin. So it was getting closer. This closer was the time of when he suspected danger. He was more solicitous. He's more anxious in dies, which means from day to day, and of the porticus, of the colonnade in Quibus, in which he was accustomed to spatiari, to walk about. The walls, the parietes, he distincts it, he tinctured them or something with fangite stone, which is some sort of moonstone or something, from which the splendour, so it was shining sort of rock, whatever were the images from Aetergo, from behind him, whatever they fear it, whatever they were going to be, he could providere it, he could see in advance from all the shining of these rocks amongst the colonnade, anything which could be a danger. Daily Dictionary, obtingo, to fall to one's lot. And this is how he chose these Roman knights who would go with his lictors. So it can occur to an advantage or disadvantage, or it can befall, or it can fall to one's lot. There it is, subjunctive pluperfect. Back to the plot. Nec nisi, and not unless in secret and solus alone, plurus qui custodius. Many people who are in custody, unless he was alone and in secret, indeed with their chains receptus, having received their chains in his hand, then he would order about them. He would listen to these many prisoners, I guess you'd call them, utqui, and so that he could persuade his domesticus, this can be his family or the people who live in his home, ne quidem, not even by a good example, a bono example, should anyone ordinandum dare to be a necam. No one should dare the death of a patron. No one should dare kill patron. Is this guy Epaphroditum? I think this would be an alternate spelling of libellio. Would be the nominative. So libellis. It's an alternate spelling, which would mean he's his notary. It's also the same root word for a little book, but I'd say this guy would be a notary. He condemned with capital punishment. Quod is the reason, because after the destitution, Nero, post-destitution, after Nero had been abandoned, in Adapisking, in seeking his morte, in seeking his death, it is estimabated, he was thought to be an adjutant, someone who had helped him die by his own hand. So this must have killed him. So this guy looked like he was doing Nero a bit of a favour by helping him die by his hand, but he was condemned to death for it. Yeah, and a little bit more. 15 in Roman numerals. Deniqui. Finally, this guy in the accusative, Flavius Clementum, his cousin, who was very condemnable because of laziness, inertia, of whose parvulus filius, who is even then, he had small children, who looks like Domitian has destined a verit, he's destined them or made it so openly that they would be successors to him, and having abolished their prior name, he had ordered to be called, to be appelled, one Vespasian and the other Domitian. Okay, so back to this first guy again here, there was a little clause in the middle. Suddenly, on the very smallest suspicion, tantum non in ipso is, so he was barely in his consulship, or before the end of his consulship, and here's the verb, he interremitted. So this guy up here, his cousin, he was interremitted, he was killed on the smallest amount of suspicion when he was, Domitian was in his consulship. Quo maxime facto, which greatly matured this. So by this fact, this deed, it matured greatly the exitum to him, the destruction for him. Okay, during 8 months, there was so much fulgura, this lightning was done, and this was a bit of an announcement, that he exclaimed, Feriat nam, let it strike me now, who it wants to. Strike now who you want to. Tactum de Calo, so touched by heaven, was the capital and the temple of the Flavian Gens. Likewise the Domus Palatine, the Palatine home, and the cubicle of he himself, Domitian, was touched by this fulgura. the lightning. And even from the base of the triumphal statue, the title, by the force of the storm, was excussus, knocked down, and it descended, and it fell onto a nearby monument or tomb. An arbor, a tree, which, with Vespasian being a private citizen ad hoc still, which was eversed, turned over while he was then a private citizen, it surrexed, had a resurrection. Then, Drusus again, repente, suddenly it corroded, it fell down. Praenestina Fortuna, so Fortuna Primigenia, through the whole space of his imperium, he commended the new year to this god. Happy in all ways, with the same sortem it was accustomed to give. Looks like in the extremo year, in the last year, it returned very tristissimum, very grimly, and nor without mention of blood. And we'll pick it up tomorrow.